Hey guys, Funkymusic here. I got a great question the other day from one of the comments from Haller here. Just wanted to read it real quick. Hey Funky, I got a couple of questions. Since you have been streaming for a very long time now, would you say that streaming can count as an actual job? What are your thoughts on WoW streamers? Do you think they played the game back when it came out, or are they just saying that to get more attention? If you were in charge of Blizzard, what would be the three major changes you would implement? And last question, do you see Blizzard going on for the next 10 years, or do you think they will collapse? So, great question. Actually, this kind of ties into a few videos that I was actually doing, but it's a great question that I think I could do a video on real quick. So first off, I've retired from streaming. I don't really do that anymore. There's a ton of reasons why. Obviously, my son and the time it takes, because most of the good guilds that I want to raid with and need to raid with raid during a time that makes it almost impossible for me to do that, because they raid around 1 o'clock in the afternoon here, my time, and that's near impossible for me to get on and raid. Spending 2-3 hours in a raid is impossible for me. Because I do have to get my son at 3 o'clock, so it gives me about 2 hours, 3:30, about 2.5 hours to raid. So I can't really do that anymore. And I'm kind of actually, I miss it, but I'm also enjoying it a lot. It's nice just being away from behind the camera and just getting to enjoy playing games again, kind of, in a way, without having to stream. Now, sometimes I'll flip the stream on and just show some gameplay of what I'm doing, but I don't really respond to the comments a whole lot or anything like that. If I see somebody, an old acquaintance, from the stream days, I might say hey or something like that. But do I think that streaming can count as an actual job? Yes. My problem with streaming is that people do it and they put these donations in their streams. Now, don't get me wrong. I think donating, if you have the money, is great. I think people who put that up there, though, especially the smaller channels, excuse me, I think the smaller channels that do that, I don't know, I just feel like that's begging for money. And we see a lot of YouTube streamers doing it today. There's tons of clips out there of people begging for money or demanding money from their subs or saying it's I hate that stuff. But yeah, if you actually put the time in and become decently big at it, yes, it can be a full-time job. Same thing goes for YouTube. There's plenty of people out there who do this full-time. So yeah, I do think it's an actual job, because from behind the scenes here, just some of the videos I've done and whatnot, maybe more of the YouTube side, I would really consider another job, depending on how you do your videos and whatnot. But even streaming, I think it is, because you feel like you have to do this or do that for your audience. You feel like you have to perform and play a certain, like, I know, for example, for me, whenever I went to go play a new game, my viewership dropped drastically. People wanted me to play Restoration Druid. They wanted me to do World of Warcraft. And even if I was doing something other than World of Warcraft, or something other that was World of Warcraft, let's say when I was streaming Classic or when I was playing another character, my viewership seemed to drop when the people see me doing this. They know me for Restoration Druid, and that's what they want to see. So it can be kind of hard being in that niche, but I embraced it. I liked it for the 8 years, and then sometimes you just got to realize, hey, I'm just going to do me, and people are either going to like it or fuck off, because you're not going to be able to appease everyone. But if you're doing it for a full-time job, it's a little bit different. So, yeah, I think it can be a full-time job, although I would say streaming is not anywhere near as hard as doing YouTube content, chopping up videos, finding ideas to talk about, things of that nature. I think is much harder than streaming. What are your thoughts on WoW streamers? Well, my thoughts on WoW streamers, there's a lot of them. I really don't care for Assmouth Gold at all. Could care less what he thinks. He's that whole comment thing he did about retail or private servers are going to beat or get beaten by retail players and all this stuff, and he has no clue that we've refined our skills and we're 10 times better than any current retail player trying to go back, because we've been playing this content for years.
This one version of Warcraft for years are going to come crashing into Classic and utterly tear through the content. These Battle for Alliance streamers who think they're the dog's bollocks are going to be left for dust by tons of players and guilds they've never even heard of. It will be glorious. With all the
I really don't think that's going to happen.
It's ridiculous, and so there's people like that. I enjoyed Swifty. I know he's another person where he's kind of controversial, I guess. Off the camera, he's done a lot of things off the camera that have been very controversial. But I like some of the WoW streamers for sure. I think some of them are a little bit full of themselves, but I've been there. I understand that to a point. I think a lot of the unknown ones, at least the ones here on Warmane, there's a few that do a really good job streaming, and they're not all bad. I'll pop in, say hi to a few of the guys that I follow there or know that have a decent stream. Murphin, I'll hop in his. Oh goodness, there's so many of them. Clown, I'll hop in his, see what's going on with his. Although I hate his UI. But there's a lot of bad streamers out there too. I think one of the biggest things, if you're planning on growing your stream or having any kind of a decent looking stream, you got to set it up properly. I think people want to see cameras. People want to see professionalism as far as like your setup and whatnot, and make it look clean as possible. I think those are the streams that really do well. Do you think they played the game back when it came out, or are they just saying that to get more attention? Well, I think a lot of people on Warmane, I'm telling you, if I had a nickel for every time somebody on Warmane said, I played retail, I'd have a bazillion dollar. Like yesterday in this ICC, for example, I got into this discussion about this guy was talking about what the greatest twos teams were back in Wrath. And I'm like, no, they weren't. It was still DK, H-Pala. It still dominated for the most part in Season 5, and then, which is the beginning of the Wrath. Then it was Warrior H-Pal started to dominate towards the end, especially the ones with Shadowmourne. No, Resto Druids were at the top. I'm like, no, they weren't. There was no rest. Like, I played retail back then. No, you didn't. How old are you? Well, I'm 21. Okay, dude, that means you would have been 11 years old. I highly doubt you remember things from that far ago. Most of these people that are playing on Warmane are in their younger 20s, maybe mid 20s at best. I know I'm one of the old ones, and there's people who are just as old as me. But I was playing it when it was current content. I was actually an adult when I was still playing it, so. I don't think if they could do it to get attention. I think that's part of it. I think they just do it because they want to feel involved in something, like they were there, or they want people to believe what they're saying is true. Because, I played this in retail. When if they were to actually talk to somebody who played back in retail, they wouldn't have a clue, and none of their facts would stand up. And here, it's funny though, because you could fact check a lot of the stuff that people say. So yes and no to that answer. I think they do it for attention, but they also want other people just to believe what they're saying sometimes. So, if you were in charge of Blizzard, what were the 3 major changes you would implement? Oh my goodness, 3 major changes I would implement. Well, the first thing I would do is I'd break off from Activision. Number 2, I would find people who really want to truly make a great game and aren't in it for the money. We're not doing it for the business sales. Fuck all that nonsense. Yada yada yada. Get that out the fucking way. We just want to make a badass game. The third thing I would do is probably kill off World of Warcraft. Now, and this is, every time I say this, it gets highly controversial when I say this. kill off World of Warcraft because the engine's just ancient. The game needs to die, and we need Warcraft 4. I think once you kill it off, do Warcraft 4, and then come out with World of Warcraft 2, or whatever you want to call it. Bring it out, update everything, make the world even 10 times bigger than what it is. Go off some of the lore that you would do in, Warcraft 4. Build a story there. Obviously, you have at least one DLC, maybe even 2 DLCs, and then you kind of build the story from there in Warcraft 2. I'm not sure where exactly you would go, if you're going to start everything over again. There's a lot of stuff that I think got overlooked in vanilla. A lot of different storylines they could have gone with instead of just going straight to characters that we knew for the first 2 expansions they did, but that's my opinion on it, I guess. Last question, do you see Blizzard going on for the next 10 years, or do you think they will collapse? I don't see World of Warcraft going on for the next 10 years. That's a video that I'm working on, actually, talking about. Blizzard just released their quarterly numbers, and compared to, I have to watch the video again. I have it saved, but basically they're at the same amount of subs that they were before Classic launch. So what that means is the hype train has obviously fallen off the tracks. I mean, in 6 months, they have the same amount of players playing or subscriptions that they did before the Classic launch. So that's not a good sign, and it's about 3 million people. So as far as World of Warcraft goes, I don't see that lasting 10 more years. They've strung it out pretty much as far as they could. As far as Blizzard continuing on, yeah, I see Blizzard continuing, but they've made a lot of mistakes. Mistakes that either, we as a community, people who enjoy gaming, need to stand up and hold these people accountable instead of buying their bullshit games every time they come around. I just looking at gaming today, and I've kind of talked about it, just the DLCs, the microtransactions. Used to be when you bought a game, it was fully set up. Yeah, would be a few bugs in it and whatnot, but I mean, some of these games that are launching these days are just so bug infested. I mean, I could point right to Fallout 76 as one of the best, examples I could come up with, and it's just so bug-filled ridiculousness that they just plan on patching it, for the next 2 or 3 years till they finally get it in a working state, which is ridiculous. It should come to us fully functioning and ready to go. So yeah, I Blizzard would have to. They could continue for the next 10 years for sure. They have that potential. I would say that's more likely that they're going to continue than not. But they are not in a good place right now as far as gaming goes, because I'm boycotting anything they do from here on out. I will not be playing Diablo 4, and I'm a huge fan of the Diablo series. And I even quite enjoyed Diablo 3, to be honest. I can't bring myself to play. They fucked up Classic as far as I'm concerned with the layering shit. People think, oh, that's not going to be such a big deal. It ended up being a big deal. I think that's a fuck up. Warcraft 3 is a fuck up. Diablo Immortal's a huge fuck up. Blizzard just keeps tripping over themselves, and they're just so arrogant about it. That's the thing. That Diablo Immortal video where you see the Blizzard talking about, or Blizzard staff talking about, well, you all have cell phones, don't you? It's like, that's not the point. Like, do you not understand the point, Blizzard? So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. Like I said, I'll be going into depths into some of this stuff. Some of this more, I don't know, more better. I'll be going into some of the stuff in here better. There's a video that I plan on releasing here pretty soon, talking about all these big YouTube channels. Where's the private community, for videos and stuff, and what's been going on with that, and why that's sort of dying down, way down. I'm looking at some of the big streamers that used to do private servers or got big because of private servers, and now their channels are, hanging on by a thread or not doing very well at all. And I know I'm not going to cover all of them. I plan to cover the majority of them and a few that I know or have had interactions with. So, and we're going to go from there and do that video. So, hopefully that'll cover the streaming stuff a little bit. But great question. I love questions like this. Give me some content, something to talk about. just my thoughts on what's going on and where World of Warcraft's headed, and the state of streaming and where streaming's going and whatnot. So, yeah, any more questions like this, guys, I'll be happy to answer to my best of my ability and let you know where I'm. I don't know how many years it's been now. With 2004, the game came, or I started playing the game in 2004, late 2004. So it's like 16-year veteran of World of Warcraft. It's a long time. So anything you guys want to know, please always feel free to leave a comment, and I will always try to respond.